60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 60. Part man.
Part machine. All pod. This minute begins with Clarence saying he's the guy in Detroit, and ends with him saying, maybe I'm not making myself clear.
This is like the minute of the big dogs.
Yeah, it is all Clarence all the time. We've had a few minutes here, and we'll have a couple more minutes of just Clarence Boudica, and he's great.
Yeah.
Although these minutes, maybe there's not so much to say about them.
Yeah, I found myself getting very note light. I do have things, but it is pretty much the first time we actually really get to see Clarence Boudica as the charming, charismatic guy he is. We've seen him be the cop killer. We've seen him be like, the ruthless killer with Morton. But this is the time we actually get to see him as probably the person without him inflicting violence.
Yeah, he is actually quite a multifaceted character, and I think that's, we've discussed it before, that the glasses, the costume, they all kind of gave him this intellectual look. We've only ever seen him be a thug up until this point, and we've also seen him as the leader and subordinate, and now it's they've given him a lot. I didn't realize when I would just casually watch RoboCop in my own time. It was just, it's Red from that 70s show. And just rejoicing every time he threatened to shove anything up anyone's ass.
Well, this is where our points of view really differ. I think we brought it up in the past, 50-odd minutes ago. But, for me, this is my first Kurtwood Smith. So
yeah, I guess
going into the 70s show, it's just like, it's Clarence Boudica. He's a dad?
You know what? It kind of works, though. He's basically the same character. He's just retired. He has this douchebag kid.
Yeah, if you really think of it as like the alternate reality, and this is maybe Clarence's punishment for his crimes, or I don't know. But I couldn't get into that 70s show that much. I enjoyed it, but I'm not a huge fan of sitcoms, I'll be brutally honest.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid. Haven't watched it as an adult, so I have no idea if I actually like it or not.
No, it's probably... Well, I guess the thing is, because it was already, what's the... anachronistic?
Anachronism, yeah.
Yeah, being a 90s... Was it 90s?
Yeah, it was made in the late 90s. Isn't that so bizarre? The 90s and the 70s, so different. But that's the equivalent of making a show set in 2003, which would not look that different. I mean, I watched... We're going on tangents already. I watched Spider-Man 2 the other night. It's made in 2004, and it's it's... You can tell it's not modern, but it's not as distinct as, this is the 70s, this is the 80s. 2004 is just... They had PlayStation 2?
We kind of went into a bit of a cultural arrested development post 9/11 to a certain degree.
Yep, it's all nostalgia all the way down.
That's true. The last few decades, especially the last 2 decades, has been such a nostalgia fest, and we've had fashion trends, but we've not had a culturally a visual aesthetic, is probably the best way to do it.
That might actually explain the 1950s as well. You come out of World War II, this very globally traumatic experience, and suddenly it's, women were working in the workforce, and suddenly it's just get back in the kitchen, let's do the old white picket fence, very conservative. So it's not until the 60s come along, and I can't wait for the sequel to the 1960s. Can't wait for that huge cultural revolution, because I don't know how many more Spider-Man remakes I can watch.
Well, don't worry, there's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 more in our lifetime.
Anyway, getting back on track, I admire that there really isn't a completely dull moment in this movie. Even a scene like this, which is basically just establishing information, it's a discussion. The wine, the dude, Sal, drinking the wine, it is such an odd detail. My eyes are so drawn to it. It seems so out of place in this situation. He does not seem like a wine drinker. He is holding it like it's a wine tasting.
This entire dialogue and this entire this entire confrontation, if this was any other filmmaker except for some crazy European, this would probably be like, the guns would be drawn out immediately. It'd be like the showdown at the OK Corral, kind of like the tension really hype around. But in many ways, these are just like two dudes, even colleagues to a certain degree, just kind of, this is almost like a business meeting, but it's in a cocaine factory.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, there's a casualness to it.
I'm just going to quickly jump ahead to the commentary notes, because Ed talks about the dialogue in this particular next minute and a half, essentially. And he found this to be incredibly tough to write, because he just couldn't really write tough guy dialogue. And in fact, it's in the next minute, but he says in this minute's worth of commentary that he actually hated the... in the original script, it's "you dumb wop son of a bitch," which is what Clarence says. Clarence says something similar. So actually, a lot of this dialogue is not in the script. A lot of this was Kurtwood Smith, particularly Kurtwood Smith, coming up with his own shit. And the actor... Oh, I might as well quickly touch on the actor. So Sal is played by Lee DeBrox, B-R-O-U-X. And
Great name.
He is... Yeah, he... It's funny because he's playing he's playing a drug dealer here, but he plays like a lot of cops, and he's done a lot of TV work. He's got 130 as of now. He's got 137 actor credits on IMDb, working all the way up until 2019. Lot of TV credits. Even though he's not worked in Star Trek, he has worked with T.J. Hooker, starring William Shatner, and Quantum Leap, starring Scott Bakula, so two captains right there.
Well, shit. It's exactly what I was hoping to spare you from.
He's getting there, yeah. 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, he's done a ton of, like, really, he's done a lot of, like, one-offs, obviously. He doesn't seem to be the guy that's going to star in the show. He's been in Murder, She Wrote a couple of times. He's done...
Those must be fun careers where you're just a working actor. You're never the lead. You're never tied down to anything, and you get to be in all these different shows. That's fun.
Yeah, he's been in MacGyver.
Nice.
So Magnum PI. He's been in a ton of stuff, like a lot of cowboy stuff. A lot of he seems to play a lot of cops and or heavies and stuff like MASH. But the one that also particularly caught my eye, he was in Steven Seagal's first movie, Above the Law. Oh, he was also in Chinatown with Jack Nicholson.
Oh, there you go.
So, very prolific.
Writing villain dialogue, or it's actually like when you're writing the supervillain, the main baddie. I think that's where it's a lot of fun, and you can just go over the top, and there's no limits. And having written Knight Rider fan fiction, yeah, it's great. It's great. There's no wrong with Garth Knight, you know.
You look like crap.
Fuck you, kid!
But yeah,
sadly, he's not been in Knight Rider.
Damn.
Career over. Ruined.
Yeah. I derailed myself. No, but when it comes to writing the thugs and the kind of middlemen, that's actually quite hard because you can't relate to them. They're not talking realistically. Yeah, I've never had to write anything that's like that, but yeah, I can't imagine it's easy.
Well, especially because this is like, as even Ed describes it, it's tough guy dialogue.
Yeah.
If you're not part of that, I don't know, if you're not part of that kind of world,
scene, yeah,
you're probably there going, how do I do this? I mean, you know.
Yeah, suburban white men writing thug dialogue does not... As we have seen in bloody the 2014 version.
Yes. Oh, I don't even know how I want to tackle these minutes on Roboflag, but we're going to get to that.
I have some ideas, later. Yeah.
I would love to get a close-up of what the hell that injector that Clarence has. I'm guessing it's just a quick snort of cocaine hit, but it's just like this, like almost like a silver, I don't know, bulb tube.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was.
He uses it once and he never see it again. So it's like, he's a guy surrounded by cocaine, but he has to have his special hit. I don't know.
Also, I feel sorry for everyone filming this because they all have to wear winter stuff. They're filming it in summer, and at least got the scarf, you got the jacket.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It could have been one of those things where it might actually have been cold in the factory anyway.
Yeah. Oh, there's high ceilings. Maybe. Pray to God. Yeah. I don't. Well, I couldn't do what do the RoboCop costume, that kind of thing, or like what Christian Bale does with the rubber Batman suit. Like, no, there is no amount of money. I would die, and I actually don't sweat too much, but it reminds me of I can't remember the name of the podcast, but some of the actors from Star Trek Voyager have done a show where they...
Delta Flyers.
Yes, Delta Flyers. And they're talking about their experiences filming that.
Oh,
and
the woolen suits.
The woolen suits, and the costume designers were telling guy played Kim. But anyway, yeah.
God damn it.
Ensign Kim. Anyway, He's talking about he was the sweater. So the costume designers, they have this phrase like, there's always a sweater. And they basically have to just make you like armpit pads so that you don't sweat through the costume.
Apparently the season 1 and 2 TNG, because they're spandex. Apparently they...
I think they're neoprene, actually.
Reeked.
Yeah, it's
neoprene. They were...
Was it? I thought it was neoprene. I thought it was a neoprene blend. So it wasn't pure spandex. It wasn't pure neoprene. It was like that weird...
It was one of the very first spandexes that were out there. So not spandex, but lycra. And it was, I think it was a 4-way stretch. Like one of the very... It was expensive.
No, it was 2-way. It was 2-way because
it was 2-way,
they cut it the wrong way. And it will forever baffle me how someone who was working in costume for like 40 goddamn years made such a rookie mistake. I don't understand.
So I know I was getting confused with the original Superman one. But either way, it was like early days of this lycra. And it just absorbed sweat like crazy, and all those costumes reeked.
Gross.
There was one of the many reasons why they were so happy to get rid of those costumes.
Star Trek, the stinky generation.
Yeah, it's a good thing there's no smell-o-vision.
Yep.
I was going to segue into talking about this factory, but we were in such a tangent, I'm going to have to derail it back. I managed to find some information about this factory. It is situated in 2727 Canton Street in a section of Dallas called Deep Ellum. And it is currently known as the Bomb Factory, of all things. It's a musical venue, and you can find it online at thebombfactory.com. And it actually has a history section on the website, and it actually says that in the early 1900s, the building was used to manufacture Ford automobiles. During World War II, the building was used to manufacture bombs and ammunition for the armed forces, hence the name Bomb Factory. It doesn't have much of what it did in the intervening years, but it says in the mid-1990s, the building was converted to a music events venue and hosted a ton of well-known band names. Radiohead, Sonic Youth, Ramones, In Excess, wow, 9 Inch Nails.
This is a pretty cool place.
Yeah, and it did a major renovation in 2015, and it's currently open to the public to this day, although I believe COVID has
probably
happened, so dating this podcast. But so it's, I think it's under limited things, but it's, I just randomly found that out, and so yes, it's... It was an actual factory. It actually made munitions, but it's actually a music venue, and you can go visit it. It probably looks nothing like this, and although there might still be cocaine there.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just probably a fresher batch.
Does it ever expire? I don't know.
That's beyond my knowledge. I was more going the fact that it's a music venue. Someone's bringing something.
Yeah.
Not that they endorse it, but that someone always brings something.
Yeah, you'd think my extensive research with Miami Vice would lead to some answers, but no.
You're not exactly up my alley, style and persona-wise.
Yeah, but your extensive research only lasts until 1980 something, whenever the last season was.
89, I think. Yep.
I was going to say, I don't think it went into the 90s.
No, it's so... we're on a tangent again. But it's fascinating how distinct... Going back to what we were saying about how the decades are so distinctly different in the 20s. Yeah, like, the 90s come along, and that is just a whole different thing to the 80s. Miami
Yeah.
Vice could not survive. I can't even imagine what a 90s Miami Vice would look like.
Oh god. Funny thing is, my brain immediately goes to not CIS, NCIS.
That kind of shit, yeah.
That kind of shit. But I'm more thinking something like, say, was it New Orleans? The New Orleans version?
I don't
where it's
know.
a bit more hip
Oh,
and
right,
retro, and rather than the stuffy office, like they're in an attic or something like that. So the hip and cool one, but they're still narcs.
Speaking of Miami
Anyway.
Vice, in the background we see some brightly coloured sort of metal tub thing. I can't remember what you call those ones, the canister thing. About 17 seconds in. And it is such a Miami Vice thing because those things do not normally come in like the chemical waste vat kind of things.
Oh, those. Wow.
Yeah, those do not normally come in bright blues and purples, but Miami Vice will always do that where like a hospital is painted in those colours or shipping containers are painted in those colours. It's this hyper real kind of thing that I really dig, and I think it's sadly missing in modern cinema, that we're all about realism rather than hyper-realism, or at least when we do hyper-real, it's in a more subtle way, because you don't want people on the internet bitching about, that was unrealistic. It's a movie. That's what you want.
The irony is of morons who talk about how things are and aren't real in regards to media. The funny thing is, some of the more outlandish things that happen in media, in fictional storytellers, sometimes they're actually not necessarily dumbed down, but they're usually toned down from what has happened in real life, because things in real life are kind of stupid, outrageous.
Yeah, real life is weird.
This is what happened a lot in the TV series Leverage. John Rogers would research like Ponzi schemes and con artists and stuff like that, and real world accounts of like business corruption and things like that. And when they came to write these episodes for Leverage, they had to tone it down because the reality was so stupid. They went, no one's going to believe this.
Yep.
Like,
That's
no
like
one
the
will
story of my
believe
life.
This dumb.
That's like a story. I think if I ever finish my memoir and I hand it to a publisher, like, this is unrealistic, but it's true.
Yeah, reality is sometimes weirder than any fiction people can create.
Truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why a lot of authors do draw on real world examples, but
world,
like,
yeah.
so like maybe like you got a vampire fiction, you're making shit up about vampires, but maybe the situation they're in, the geeky vampire getting held up at a convenience store. I don't know, that might be a thing that you went, I'm just going to use my reality. And maybe it's absurd what happened, so you're going to add the absurdity, just the main character's got superpowers. I don't know.
Did we have any more notes for this minute?
Well, I've just paused the footage at like second 31, because I did want to just talk about Sal's glorious mustache, but I'm looking at the dumpy guy next to him, and it's like, he just looks like a guy that they just like pulled off the street and
He is a soft boy teddy bear. Look at that gentle face.
He looks like he was going to like coach a baseball team or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna look tough. Do I look tough? Am I doing it right? Okay.
Yeah. I do have a couple more notes. So I did mention before that there is a ton of missing dialogue on the script because it was mostly improv. So the book funnily enough, because Leon wasn't arrested. Leon's in the scene in the book. Obviously, he doesn't get killed. Spoilers. And so the dialogue is incredibly compressed, but I love this dialogue so much. It's really good. So in the commentary, I think we touched upon this last episode, but Paul really thought that the idea of a cocaine factory, like this high-end kind of factory with like production lines and all this stuff, and in a factory and blah blah blah, he thought it was a bit too ridiculous. And now he goes like, then like 10 years later, this was the thing.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, because Daredevil has scenes like this as well, and it's just the norm.
Well, I remember a lot of movies around about this time, if they had a drug factory, because I think it was License to Kill also had, because that would have been roughly, 2 years later, would have been Licensed to Kill, James Bond.
Yeah.
And so they had, and it was always that thing where, like, if you saw, like, a drug lab in media, it was always, like secret underground, and there was this trope where, like, the drugs had to be handled by naked women.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's one of those things you don't think about until you realize, oh, that was a thing.
Oh, that was really... I thought that was just... Well...
Yeah, no, as in, like, in media, I don't know if that's a thing in real life, but it feels like one of those things where it's just like, oh, yeah, this is our chance to, like... I think the idea is, like, they're naked so they're not storing drugs or anything like that. But here we got, like, a factory full of burly men making drugs. And this feels more realistic.
Yeah, there's very little sexualized about RoboCop. It's not really interested in that, which is surprising given that is a thing from the 80s and it is such a schlocky kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I think it makes a lot of sense in this context because we're going to end up having a shootout in the gun factory. So it makes a lot of sense that all these people are going to be armed to the teeth because it's if the cops turn up, they're going to have a shootout. And lo and behold, a cop turns up and they have a shootout.
Yep.
But I think just this one makes more sense than the, oh no, we just have to then evacuate all these naked women trope bullshit.
Yeah. Do we want to start gaslighting RoboCop?
Alex, how do you feel? I feel fine, Dr. Norton.
Minute 64 begins with Novak saying, "This, my friends, is the future of American justice," and ends with a boardroom meeting. And here we have yet another undeserved and uninspiring use of the greatest, or one of the greatest, theme songs of all time. What does this movie have against being fun, or dramatic, or epic?
Well, we can pretty much skip over the Novak stuff. We've kind of covered all that, and there's not much
There is
difference.
nothing to say. But yeah, the boardroom scene, I think, is quite interesting because they present a few ideas there that maybe we should interrogate. I can't remember that guy's name, but he says, we can't turn him off. He's deactivate him. Which, can you do that? He's a huge hit. It's like, is he a huge hit? We have not seen that. We have seen one public outing of this character where I didn't realize that he did actually execute that man. He killed that man.
No, because it's already been firmly established in this movie that he doesn't have lethal weapons. He's got stun guns. They do say he shoots a guy.
Well, that's what I thought. But then in the next minute, Clara says that he executed a man, and it's not sedation.
No, I think she does say he shot a man, but
yeah.
That's the problem. The problem is, I think that's the problem in the script. But the problem is, we know that it's a stun gun.
Oh, okay.
But he still shot a man in public view in front of his child.
Isn't that just how American cops work? I thought that was just like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's just normal of it. Yeah, so we needed the montage scene that we got in the original RoboCop. He's going to schools, he's cleaning up the city. Oh, RoboCop, who is he? What is he about? Like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We don't get any of that. It's just, this is the future of American justice. Well, he's a huge hit. Maybe show, don't tell.
Yes, that should have been the notes scribbled on every single page of this script.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone had read this, it would be show, don't tell, show, don't tell, show, don't tell, show, don't tell, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
The thing with the boardroom is that I think we've talked about this before. This could have been the movie. This seems to be the movie they wanted to tell, and this should have been the movie they could have told. Like, let's see all the corporate stoogery, but.
I think these 2 minutes here are actually circling what could have been a great movie, what could have been the central focus. This minute and the next one, this is what the movie should have been.
Yeah. Like, Keaton's brilliant in this, like, playing this industrial tycoon, like, doesn't care a damn, and this is the problem. I like Gary Oldman, but in these 2 minutes... he's playing two different characters.
Yes.
But they're the same character, and that's the other problem, is that it would be nice if we could see the conflict, but it's almost like he's playing two different people, because in the one scene he's just like, I'm concerned, and then next thing he's a corporate stooge, and then next scene I'm concerned, then he's back to being a corporate stooge. Like, literally the line is, "I'm not going to lie," and then lies his ass off. And it never comes up how much of a conflicted character this guy is, because he just seems so ambiguously written to be essentially whatever he needs to be in any scene.
Because I think he had potential to be one of the more fascinating characters. He is maybe the Lewis of this story, where Lewis is just totally in the back seat and doesn't really exist in this story. Yeah, but yeah, that's more the next minute. But for this minute, so they're saying, oh, something was interfering with the system, and then Jennifer Ely, I can't remember how you pronounce it, but she's like what, his soul? And I mean, they don't go more into that at all, but
No.
I mean, she's a great actress. She's best known for, I think I mentioned before, Pride and Prejudice. She's probably one of the best. Oh god, I can't remember I'm blanking. Yeah, but she's one of the best leads in any. It's probably the best version of Pride and Prejudice, and most people seem to agree. But yeah, her mother, I didn't realize. So I watched Spider-Man 2, and I looked up Aunt May and going, is she still alive? Oh yeah, she is. And she is Jennifer Ely's mother, and she is still working in theater. She's 94 or something, and like this year she's in a production of My Fair Lady.
Damn.
And she looks basically the same. This woman is amazing.
Yeah, it's weird how they keep trying to youngify Aunt May, and in the case of Marissa Tomei, make her incredibly hot. But it's
Milfify.
I like the original.
I didn't
know the name, but
yeah,
but you know the Raimi Aunt May. I like how they decided to keep her a little bit older and like a bit more frailer.
She's very accurate to the comic version, but she's also just really lovely. And there's a scene, it's like she clearly knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. They're just talking about sometimes you just got to make sacrifices, and basically great power comes great responsibility, but longer. I was just like, oh, she's great. Oh, she's so good.
Okay, this is going to turn into Spider-Man 2-minute, but fuck it. I love the bank scene with
she's so good.
From Community.
Yes. Rosemary Harris. Sorry.
Rosemary Harris. God, I can't believe I forgot that name. But yeah, the whole bank scene, right from the beginning to even when she gets kidnapped by Doc Ock and all that type of stuff, it's like she is like MVPing that scene every way through it. Like, the whole thing of like, but I get the toaster, right? And all
so good. Well, actually, it's only if you...
Yeah, and like, slapping down, oh god, I almost had his name there, Joel something.
McHale.
Yeah, Joel McHale, from Community. That blew my mind rewatching Spider-Man 2 and went, hang on.
And the soup, does anyone remember the soup?
Oh god, that damn. Too bad there's already a Spider-Man 2-minute and I can't be on that. I will gush about that movie until the end of days. And neither of us seen Spider-Man 3 again.
Yeah, the re-threequel. So, I mean, that's basically all I can say about this particular minute, and I'll save my notes for the next minute 65.
Yeah,
so
this is definitely going to be a short episode compared to some of the really long ones we've just been doing recently.
Well, I think that's good, bit of variety. Half an hour's not too bad.
Half an hour's not too bad. Unless you got anything else, where can the lovely viewers find you? You
can find me at traviandesigns.com. I am Courtney and Ivy on Instagram, Courtney Colson on YouTube. It's The Greatest Regeneration on Instagram as well. I haven't done my December update, so yeah, that's the basics.
And you can find me on Fandom Crossing and Helios Photos and all those things like Facebook and YouTube and all that. Speaking of YouTube, you can find us on the Tube of Views, Simplecast, Spotify, Apple, Google, anything that can pod your pods. Pod? Yeah, like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all that other bullshit. Talk to us on, I don't know, on Facebook. We're around, all that stuff. I'm running out of things to say. It's early in the morning and my brain hasn't kicked in yet.
Yep.
So until next time.
RoboCop. Did I say Robocop? I think I said Robocop.
You said RoboCop.
I think I did, yeah, because I'm looking at the word Robocop, so I can't... I'm dumb, and I just read what's... Okay, Robocock. There we go.
Short, simple, to the point. Not that RoboCop is...
No, it's Robocock will never be short and simple and to the point. It is a ride of your life. You will remember it forever. Yeah, I think you gotta just say Robocock at the end every once in a while, just so people actually remember what the fuck it was initially.
Yeah, well, you don't really want a mouthful of RoboCop.